Mel Chadwick. Hi, Mel. How are you doing?
Hi, Sarah. Thanks so much for inviting me on to chat with you. I'm
You're,
doing well. Yeah.
you're well. Good. It's lovely to just spend a few minutes with you today. Mel, I want to introduce you to all my Truth Told friends. And can you tell them how you know me and how we met?
Okay. So the first time I saw you, Sarah, was playing the piano Christmas Day in 2017. It was actually when my parents were visiting us and we were staying for a short time in Porthleven, actually with mutual friends. And I took them along to the local church, and that church happened to be where you and Glenn were involved with at that point. So I think I saw you first. And I was just like really inspired by this lady who was playing the piano with one hand and singing. And it was just like, I was like, wow, this is so cool. But it wasn't until I think February 2019 that we met officially. And because that was when I invited you to come and speak at the Mels Christian Fellowship, which is where myself and my husband worship.
Oh, right. I'd forgotten that, Mel, but that is great. I do remember meeting you, especially in that February, coming to your church. And we've enjoyed great times since, haven't we? So that's really cool. So
Yeah.
you said you're married to Tony. So tell us, how did you meet Tony? And tell us a bit about yourself, where you're from, and where you grew up, etc.
Okay, so I was born in London, but we moved to Newport in South Wales when I was about 6 weeks old, I think. I'm the eldest of four, so I am the bossy older sister. I met my husband Tony in Newport as well. He actually came to be the youth pastor at the church that I was attending. And initially, I've got to say, we didn't like each other at all. He thought I was stuck up, and I thought he was arrogant. But things changed. I got ill. I got quite ill actually during that year. I was in hospital for a week, and Tony decided to bring the entire youth group to visit me, which was very thoughtful of him. But he also brought a pineapple as well, which again was very helpful. Anyway, after this happened, I just thought I really need to just get to know him a bit better. And so we kind of became friends. We chatted a lot about things. And I actually ended up painting a mural on his lounge walls. And we started kind of dating in July. And then I went off to uni in the September. And so we had a long distance relationship for that time. I studied in Chester, and then when I graduated in 2002, we then actually got married, moved to Hong Kong 2006 to 2008. We then moved to Aberdeen and then came down to Falmouth in 2011. So that's a very, very condensed version
That's a
of.
potted history.
Yeah, we've been on the Lizard now for the last 3 years. So Cornwall, we've been in Cornwall the longest amount of time of our married lives. So it'll be 10 years.
Wonderful. So you mentioned there about how you met at church. So tell us about your Christian faith. When did you become a Christian, and what does being a Christian mean to you, Mel?
I probably don't have an exact date when
Mm.
I became a Christian. I was brought up in a household that encouraged me to go to church, especially by my mum, who was a born again believer, and I had a lot of conversations with her about faith over the years. But I was brought up actually attending two churches. One was at the top of my road, which was an Anglican church in Wales, and we went there in the morning, so that was very much traditional liturgy, and then in the afternoon I went to a kind of ex-brethren evangelical church, and we had Sunday school. So that was when that was quite normal to have Sunday school in the afternoon, and I loved going there. I had a lot of friends my age, and it was just felt really alive, and a lot of word being taught as well. So yeah, it was interesting to have those two experiences though of church. We also went to Spring Harvest as a family from about the age of 11. which is quite a large gathering of Christians who come together from all different denominations and worship God together. Lots of good teaching. And I remember when I was 11 or 12 being really impressed by the Glory Company and Ishmael and the Glory Company. And I just loved it, loved the songs that we were able to sing together. And that really kind of stirred in me my faith and questions about God, and then I wanted to make a commitment. So the funny thing is that I got confirmed at the church at the top of the road, but then I also got baptized in the evangelical church as well. Faith has been always important to me, and there's a couple of verses though that were given to me at around that time. The first verse is from Isaiah 41 verse 10, which says, "So do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." And that verse really spoke to me. It gave me a lot more confidence. I was quite timid as a youngster, and quite afraid at times to speak, and particularly out loud. And that verse just brought me a lot of comfort and gave me confidence. And then another verse that really spoke to me was in 2 Timothy 1 verse 7. "For the Spirit God gave us does not make us timid, but gives us power, love, and self-discipline." And again, that verse just spoke life into me and kind of said, no, you do not need to be afraid. You've got the power of the Spirit in you. And I think that really helped me a lot in my faith over the years.
2 great verses, Mel. That's absolutely fantastic. You mentioned about you studied at uni. Was that fine art? And can you tell me, or what subject was it? Just clarify. And can you tell me when your creativity came to light? Was that as a young girl or as a teenager? Or tell us a little bit about that. Then that will lead us on to talk about your current work as a very talented freelance illustrator, if you don't mind me saying so.
Thank you. I studied art. I studied fine art at Chichester. Actually, there was a tiny minor that went with that as well, and that minor was in theology. So most of it was in fine art. And when I talk about fine art, it was installation, textiles, so basically creating environments for people to walk into. So very different to illustration, but I've always had a love of creativity ever since I was I remember one of my first childhood memories was creating a dragon out of egg boxes. I think it was like St. David's Day project or something like that, but I absolutely loved it. I was like, oh, I can make a dragon out of egg boxes. So it's always been there. I've always really enjoyed getting messy and painting and all of that. Yeah, just it was a great course. It was experimental. It kind of opened me up to a lot of different ways of working. The only thing that it maybe didn't prepare me for was the world of work. So actually earning a living and being able to navigate that side of things. So it took me a while to find what I wanted to do, but I was determined to work that out because I couldn't imagine doing anything else. So I needed to do something creative. So it was actually when we moved to Hong Kong that I noticed around me art and illustration in particular on, in the buildings around me, in banners, festivals, that kind of thing. And it switched me on to it. And I was like, what is this? I want to do this. So it was when we moved back from Hong Kong to Aberdeen that I kind of started to get into illustration and build a portfolio and basically, grow that to a point now where I'm a freelance illustrator, and I've been doing that since 2011. So for the last 10 years, I've been working as a freelance illustrator.
Wonderful. So can you show some of my friends your work, please? Can you screen share for us? and show us
Yes.
your website and show us a little something of what you do?
Here we go. So can you see that is my website that you're looking at? And we've got all these different projects. As you can see, my color palette, I do like really bold, bright colors. And there's also a theme that maybe you can see. There are a lot of maps that I create, and maps are a big part of my practice. So I just really love doing maps and getting to know an area, and then being able to show other people the area through I guess my eyes. A project that I worked on last year, which was really quite fun and actually connected my faith with my art, and that was doing this advent calendar for God Venture. So this was illustrating an advent sticker calendar, and as you can see, we've got the geographical region where Jesus kind of was brought up, and then the different points at which he was on his life, in his life. So it was really fun to do. It was really nice. These are all the stickers that were created, and basically, and that I did do an Easter one as well.
Mm.
Following on from that, but as you can see, I have a love of maps, but also food as well. So that's another love of mine, is doing food illustration, and I've illustrated a recipe book and taught how to do food illustration as well. Basically, they flew me out to Madrid, which is where their studio is, and I basically got to teach on camera how to create food illustration, and it was an amazing experience. It was way out of my comfort zone, but I was so glad that I went and did it. And you learn so much about yourself when you push yourself,
Mm.
when you maybe say yes to things that you don't normally say yes to. And yeah, I was just very thankful to have that opportunity.
That's wonderful. So this leads me on to my final question. I just want to ask you about how you and I have combined some of our gifts together over the recent months, and we are working on a special project. Can you tell everyone what you and I are working on, and our excitement about that, and a little bit about the time frame, and whet people's appetite, please?
Okay, yes, we are working on a collaborative project, and it's going to be a book called Pearls for the Girls. Short, relevant stories, and I've basically illustrated those with verses, things that will encourage and hopefully bless you, as well as challenge and bring comfort as well. So it's been a really interesting project because it's taken a while, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has.
It started though when we met each other, when you'd come to speak to us at the fellowship, and you found out I was an illustrator, and you were like, oh, something was, you were thinking, oh, what can we do?
I had a light bulb
Together.
moment, Mel, didn't
Yeah.
I? I thought, oh, now that's a useful gift. That's a wonderful talent. Maybe, oh, I'm a bit of an ideas girl and a bit of a dreamer. And I just stood there. I can remember that moment thinking, oh, I wonder if we could ever do something together. I could do the talky bits and you could do the illustration. And we didn't know what that might possibly be. Not every dream comes true, does it? But some do,
No. Yeah.
some do. And it begins with a little seed thought, doesn't it? And possibilities. So I want to encourage all of you that's watching this clip, don't stop dreaming and don't stop committing those dreams and those seed thoughts to God, because you never know what can happen with them. And I'm sure you would also encourage everyone watching today about creativity that takes many different forms that we each have and perhaps don't. I know you also love teaching people about art and how they can draw and paint. And so I think the two of us together would say, give it a try. write something, draw something, paint something. Is that something that you would echo today, Mel?
Yeah, I would definitely echo that and just say, do not be afraid to do it. There's so many things that can criticize or pull you down or say to you that you're not capable of doing it, but actually you're capable. You know, you can do probably far more than you can imagine, and with God you can do anything. I think, you know, it's, yeah, he opens up new things for you, and I know he's opened up things for me that I would never have thought of doing.
Wonderful. Melanie Chadwick, thank you for your time. You are an absolute inspiration. You're a wonderful friend. I am loving working with you on the Pearls Project, and I'm sure that everyone has loved your wise, thoughtful, kind, and inspiring words today. The verses you've shared from the Bible, the bits about your faith, the bits about your skill and your talent as an illustrator. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful rest of the day. Thanks, Mel.
Thanks, Sarah. It's been a pleasure.
Bye for now.